Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode. My name is Akash. You can follow me on Twitter at Mangeko with a zero at the end. Click this link in my bio. It will take you to my YouTube channel where I put out daily Bitcoin update videos, which kind of helps you give a directional bias so you can better trade altcoins, right? Trading altcoins, the main and the most important thing is identifying the direction, right? So yeah, if you enjoy the content that I put out, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you don't want to miss out on any trade setups, please make sure to click on the bell icon as well, right? So let's take a look at Bitcoin. Well, it's been quite some time. I think the last update that I did was on Friday, and since then things are kind of lacking, and I only took one scalp setup. So yeah, let's start with the overall range that we've been talking about for quite some time, right? The price kind of bottomed around here. The initial bottom was around here, and then the price rallied roughly, what was this, 9%, and then proceeded to sweep the low, right? This is where I kind of expected the price to, this is where I wanted to long Bitcoin and expect the price to sweep the high, right? Because as I mentioned in a lot of videos, right, range bound movements are pretty simple. You wait for the price to form a range, and once that's done, you wait for the price to sweep one of the ranges and then a recovery above that. This is where you long and a sweep above the range high, right? It's pretty simple. If the price sweeps the range high first, then you wait for the price to come back into the range, and then you short here, and then you book profits around here. That's pretty much it for range bound movements. And since the range was formed for Bitcoin on roughly 10th May, I've been looking for a sweep of the range high, but that's not happened so far, right? So what's happening, and also an interesting thing that I just noticed is that the liquidity present at the downside has always been collected. Like if you look at this, right, the liquidity resting above this was collected when the price moved down here. Liquidity resting above this was collected when the price moved down here. Similarly, any liquidity present here was collected when the price moved down here, right? So I feel like the liquidity downside is done, and I don't see any reason why Bitcoin should actually head lower. So that brings us to the range, which is the Monday's high and the Monday's low. So far, we found another range, and like I mentioned, there could be a sweep of the Monday's low followed by a sweep of the Monday's high, right? So if in this case, then you just wait for the price to sweep the Monday's low, where we might probably get a sweep of this low here as well at roughly 28,618, right? Other than, if not, longing at 29,000 seems like a pretty good risk to reward ratio, right? If that's the case, I'm going to open a long position here. I'm going to keep my stop loss somewhere around here and wait for the price to sweep Monday's high, which would be a good 3.74 hour trade. And yeah, this is one setup that I'm kind of looking at, right? But that said, looking for price to stabilize around the Monday's low is extremely important, right? Not just a sweep, but a sweep followed by a recovery that kind of holds the Monday's low would be a signal, right? Again, this setup is not without its risk. There is a chance price could continue heading lower and not just collect liquidity resting below here, which is 28,618, but as you can see, there has been almost of an equal low formed here, roughly 27,708. So there could be a very small chance, I'm not saying it will happen, but there's a small chance price could come all the way down to 27.7k and then move higher, right? So that is all that I have to say from a low time frame perspective. Let's quickly head on over to a high time frame perspective, where we're looking at CME gaps, right? So this is a CME chart for Bitcoin, and as you can see, there have been quite a few gaps that were formed, but the ones that we're going to be focusing on are the ones formed between 24th December and 28th December. So how these gaps are formed is usually during the weekends. CME stops trading, but the Bitcoin market doesn't. So this gap is essentially the untraded volume for untraded place for the CME Bitcoin. Usually what happens is the price comes down, and if the price is below, if the gap is below the price, then the price usually comes down, fills this gap, and then moves higher. For example, take a look at this particular gap. here, which was formed right after the all-time high that was set up at 65,520. Right, this gap was filled as price moved back into this range here on 11th May. Similarly, this gap over here extending from roughly 48.3k to 46.5k was filled as price moved from 20th July all the way up to 53k. Right, so similarly every gap eventually gets filled. For now we're kind of focusing on this gap here. This was formed in late 2020 that extends from 23.8k to 26.5k. So far Bitcoin price has kind of pierced this. When the price was actually going down here, I kind of expected the price to move all the way down to this layer and fill this gap and be done with it. But since it has not done that, there's right now an uncertainty. And on top of that, we have this other gap to the upside here, extending from 34.4k to 35.1k. So trying to guess or trying to kind of estimate which one is going to be the first gap to be filled is the challenge here. Like once we get that done, I think it's a pretty easy trade, right? That said, I do want to mention in the higher time frame perspective, right? Things are looking pretty much the same, right? I am looking at 34,752 as my ultimate resistance level, where I don't feel like the price is going to go beyond that. That said, if you look at the CME gap, it extends all the way from 34.4k to 35.1k. So the upside for Bitcoin for the foreseeable future is capped at 35.1k, probably 36k if we're being a little not conservative. So yep, that is one thing, right? Trying to figure out where the price is going to go is going to be the challenge for this week, right? So to sum it up, right, we could either head up to 35k, 35 or 36k, which is what I've marked here, and getting, like, if we get a perfect long somewhere on the Monday's low at 29,000, or this equal low formed here at 28.6k, would be an amazing opportunity, because from here this would roughly represent a 23% upswing for Bitcoin. And if we probably come down to 27.6k, which is obviously a no-brainer, I'm going to definitely long Bitcoin here and book profits of roughly 30% upswing. Right, so this is a great opportunity. Like, there's a lot of uncollected liquidity to the upside, so I think I am leaning long, but I will be waiting for a perfect long setup, which I will be posting on my Twitter. So please make sure to go ahead and follow me on Twitter at market with a zero at the end. And yeah, if you enjoyed this content or analysis, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. If you have any doubts, comments, suggestions, feedbacks, please make sure to just tweet at me and I'll get back to you. So have a great week ahead. Peace.